in Seattle, we tend to be a lot more stoic, and it tends to be that way in our services at Mars Hill Church, just as much as it tends to be if you went to a rock show, people tend to just kind of fold their arms and subtly groove. So what would you say? What would you say to us in Seattle? Would you have any? We don't want to get to a place where we prescribe that if you lift your hands on the third verse, that means you're engaged. But what would you say to a particular people here in Seattle that tend towards a lot more passivity and reservation when we gather together and worship Jesus? I want to call them out, but I don't want to just specify a new way that can be just as habitual as being passive.
Oh, absolutely. I think, well, you got to teach on it. And that might be a teaching, like a Sunday morning teaching, maybe a series. It could be just some things you say as you're singing. I think people really help when you identify what like the common problems are. And you say something like, you know, we live in a culture where it's cool to be unimpressed. It's cool to be unaffected. And, you know, it's cool not to show how affected you might be. And you know, guys, I think that's more a value of our culture than a value of the Bible.
That's a good point.
You know, and of course, in every culture, it's different, because you go to an African culture, maybe the exact opposite, and you'd have to be saying, you know, in our culture, we're very expressive about everything. Right. And you know what? That's not what God teaches us, just to be expressive for expressiveness' sake. We're not seeking to be emotional as a goal in itself. So in both cases, I'd say we want to demonstrate in a way that has integrity, in a way that is reflective of the culture we come from, that Jesus Christ is worthy of our deepest, purest, and strongest emotions. He is. You know, who he is and what he's done. The fact that he became a man, lived a perfect life, died as a substitute in our place, rose from the dead, ascended to his Father's right hand, where now he intercedes for us before the throne. He is worthy of, I mean, I'm having a hard time controlling myself now. He's worthy of affection, emotion, expressiveness. So I'd encourage people, at first I'd release them and say, you know what, don't be thinking about what people are thinking about you. Be thinking about who Jesus is. Don't be thinking about what other people are doing, because you have no idea why they're doing what they're doing. Don't be a distraction to other people. You know, in saying this, I'm not saying that we're going to start having people dancing down the aisles and you basically free for all.
Praise flags, maybe.
Praise flags, yeah.
Everybody loves a good praise flag.
Absolutely, once a year. But what I am saying is, if a non-Christian comes into this room, and we have plenty, you know, you guys have plenty, they should be able to say, there's something going on here that's more significant than a rock concert. There's something going on here that's more significant pretty much than anything I've ever seen. These people have been transformed by their relationship with Jesus Christ. So it's not showy. It's natural. It's not related to temperament. You know, I'm a kind of quiet person, and I don't really lift my hands. I don't really move. Well, okay, rare cases that would be true of someone across the board. And in that case, I just say, well, you know, seek to grow. but for most people, that's not true across the board.
Right.
It's just, you know, they get in certain environments, and that's what they do. You know, I'd say, let's think about how Jesus transforms our culture in this instance. Let's see how he redeems it. Let's think about how we can communicate through our bodies that he's magnificent. You know, so again, that'll look different times. We did a series one time in our church where each week we took a different physical expression. And we just said, you know, guys, this seems artificial, but this week we're going to focus on lifting our hands. You know, or we sang songs. We stand and lift up our hands. Sang songs that included that and talking about why you do it. You know, it's a sign of intercession, it's a sign of celebration, it's a sign of need, it's a sign of dependence, it's a sign of, God, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, it's all kinds of reasons. But the thing is, it comes from your heart, and if you never do it, well, then you don't even know what it could signify. And sometimes physical expression does affect our hearts. It's like when you get down on your knees to pray, it does remind you that God's God and we're not. That that's an appropriate place to be for God. So we did lifting hands, we did, I think, dancing one week, we did singing,
What did you
shouting.
do for dancing?
Oh,
how do you prescribe dancing to a congregation?
Well, we just said, I mean, it was pretty funny because I said, listen, you know, dancing is a relative term. It's just doing something with your feet, not being afraid to, you know, step and just, it may not look like dancing in any known, you know, culture. But the point is, if you're going to dance, this is the place to do it. It's for joy. You know, we emphasized that that God is more concerned that we dance with our lives than that we dance in here. That, you know, dancing doesn't say that, ooh, you are really spiritual. But, again, we gather to celebrate, hopefully, what is the overflow of our lives throughout the week. So there's freedom to do that here.